Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be located. I'm Mo with the Client Success Team here at Workify, and in today's video, we're going to be covering being granted reporting access and what the reporting analytics dashboard is going to look like on your end. And so to get started, this is what the email granting you reporting access is going to look like. And so what we're going to want to do is click this green button that says View Results so that we can dive right into the analytics. So one thing to note before we go any further is that not all dashboards are going to look exactly like what you're seeing on your screen. Depending on the types of questions that may or may not have been included in your survey, there may be some graphics that aren't included in this video. However, the general layout and structure of your dashboard is going to remain the same. And so I want to point your direction to the left-hand side of your screen underneath where it says Advanced Analytics. These sections right here represent the different sections in your survey for which underneath each of them, there's data relating to it. And so in the scorecard section, this is where we just have an overall view of the different scores in your survey. Under participation, we have questions and data related to the participation and completion percentage of the survey by your employees. One thing I also want to note is that in the participation section, like all the other sections, you'll be able to group your data by the specific groups and metadata fields that we use to identify your employees. And so this allows you to view the specific data that we're looking at underneath this group, which is a very helpful thing if you're trying to view the data broken out by different sections. And so moving along, we're going to go to the Net Promoter Score, where you can see a brief explanation of how we calculate the Net Promoter Score, as well as what the Net Promoter Score is. And just like in the participation section, if you click in by group, you'll be able to see all of the data relating to Net Promoter Score underneath each of the specific groups. And so using this example, if we wanted to see how these scores broke out by region, we can click this region button right here, and it'll give us that information. And so moving along, underneath retention is where you'll find the data relating to the retention-based questions that we ask your employees. And just like in Net Promoter Score, under the by group section, you'll be able to see all of these data points underneath these specific groups. Going into the indicators section, this is where you'll be able to see all of the data relating to the different indicators that you have set up for your survey. And so on the left-hand side of your screen is the overall scores for each of the indicators. And on the right-hand side of the screen is the scores for each of the indicators, as well as the questions and how they scored that make up each of the indicators. And so two quick things that I want to highlight on this page. One being that on the right-hand side of your screen, there's this filters button. And what we can actually do is on any of the pages in your analytics dashboard, we can click this first filter button to select the filter that we want to view all of this information by. And then this first filter value right here, if we go ahead and select the specific department that we want to view this information by, you'll notice that the data itself updates in real time. So I'll go ahead and select one where you can see the data changing depending on the specific departments that we select. And so this is something to keep in mind in case you want to view any of the data on your screen underneath a specific filter. The second thing I wanted to point out is that under the scorecard section in the indicators view, you'll have each of the specific indicators broken out by individual scorecards so that you can have a little bit more of a detailed look at how each of the scores were calculated. Lastly, we have the Likert questions section. This is where you can see how each of the specific Likert questions were scored. And underneath this overview tab over here, we have all of the questions and their score from -100 to 100. One quick thing I wanted to show is that in this Likert questions section, you can also take a look at how the distribution of all of the questions fared as well. And so going into the by group section here, one other thing I wanted to briefly highlight is that while we have this overall heat map view that's labeled Workify score, you actually have a couple other views here that will give you perhaps a different look and insight into the data that you've collected. Whereas plus minus average shows the scores and how they differ from the company average, and percent positive shows the scores where each of the participants scored at least a strongly agree or agree. And lastly, we have Likert average, where you'll get the scores graded on a scale of 1 to 5. I hope this reporting overview video has been helpful, but of course, if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to the client success team. In this section of the video, we're going to be covering trending data. What trending data means is it takes a look at the specific questions or section of your survey and sees how it scores from this current survey compared to previous ones. You can take a look at trending data in several sections within your advanced analytics dashboard. To give you an example, we can go to Net Promoter Score, and at the top of our screen, we see this trend button right here. So if we go ahead and click it, we'll see it'll give us a visual that shows the Net Promoter Score for the last couple of surveys. If you want to take a look at the types of surveys you can compare over time, you can click this drop-down menu here under Survey, and it'll let you select the specific types of surveys you want to compare to. Furthermore, you can also compare by the specific groups over time. So if you select trend by group and in parentheses column chart, it'll give you a similar view to our by group section, except we can see how the specific group has trended over time across multiple surveys. Similarly, you can take a look at trend data for other sections of your analytics dashboard. If we go to the indicators section of our dashboard, you'll see we also have this trend button at the top of our screen. If we click it, you'll see it has the exact same layout as our Net Promoter Score trend section as well. So what we can go ahead and do is select all of the surveys we want to compare to, and it'll give us the data in real time. You have a couple of different options for how you would like to view the data. So you can go ahead and see which one works best for you. Lastly, I want to show you what the trend data would look like for your specific questions included in your survey. So what we'll go ahead and do is click the trend button at the top of your screen, and underneath survey, I'll go ahead and select all of the baseline ones. And here you can actually see over time, this is how each specific question was scored. I hope this section of the video has been helpful, and as always, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to reach back out to us.